When I was a kid and totally not an adult who has better things to be doing with my life, from time to time I used to enjoy jumping on Google Maps and typing in swear words and seeing where it would take me. And to my surprise, there was actually more results than I was initially anticipating. Some of my favourite ones include Poo in Spain, Poo Poo Island in Hawaii, this one that I can't say in Austria, Bum Bum Island in Malaysia, Bum Bum Spring Creek in Queensland, Bum, India, and of course, Bum Bum in Venezuela. But then, one day, while doing my usual searches, I came across this place. Tittybong. Now, as I'm sure it did for you, instantly Tittybong got my attention. I couldn't believe that there was a town named after two of my favourite things. And the icing on the cake, it was only 2 hours south of Bum Bang Island, and only 3.5 hours north of where I lived in Melbourne. And at that moment I knew that I had to go and bring you guys along for the journey. Now obviously I couldn't just get up and go to Tittybong without doing any research. And what I found was surprisingly, online there wasn't actually that much about Tittybong to begin with. All I really found was these two locations pinged on Google Maps. First one being the Mummy Milker Inn, and the second one being a historical landmark. So naturally I opened up Wikipedia and found that the population of Tittybong was only 9 years ago in 2016. Which means that when we get there, we're going to more than double the population. But to my surprise, Wikipedia also had very little information on Tittybong. The only really important thing I found was that the post office shut down in the 60s, which meant that we would miss it by roughly 60 years. Now naturally, the mysteriousness of this place intrigued me, and as I'm sure all of you could imagine, I was even more intrigued when I clicked on the images tab on Google. But surprisingly, once again, there seemed to be no images anywhere on the internet of this mysterious place. So after hours and hours of research on Google Images and absolutely nothing to show for it, I decided that it looks something like this. And with hours and hours of time wasted, it was time to move on to the next part of the planning process. So I got together a crew of some of the greatest minds that I know that just like me had nothing better to do on a Saturday morning, and together we came up with this genius plan. We had our equipment, cameras, and of course transport ready to go, and we planned to leave from Gooch Street at 7 AM on that Saturday. And at exactly 8:26 AM that Saturday, our epic journey finally began. So sit back, hold on, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the notorious Gooch Street. I've got a crew of 4 guys in 2 cars with one destination, and that is Tittybong. Tittybong, I'm coming. Alright, we've been driving for about an hour now, still got about 2.5 to go. Update on the car, there's a bit of a ticking noise from the front. I don't know what it is, I'm not going to bother fixing it. The diff's whining, and I got no cruise control, so my knee's cramping up a bit. But luckily, what I do have is this. So we'll get that going and give my foot a bit of a rest. At this point, all was well. We had been driving for about an hour and a half and decided it was time to pull over to take a leak. Alright, we're just about to pull over for our first piss stop. I'm going to piss like a racehorse. I've been holding it in for an hour and a half. So yeah, there's a nice amp hole up here. And as you may have heard before, I mentioned a ticking noise which was starting to do my head in. So while we were pulled over, I decided to check it out and see what was causing it. Looks like we got the first casualty of the day. One of the exhaust bolts has fallen out. That'll explain the noise. But yeah, apart from that, And with the annoying ticking noise diagnosed, we decided the best course of action was to do absolutely nothing about it and get back on the road. So that's exactly what we did. Alright, just finished taking a piss, went for a quick shopping spree, got myself a new iPhone cable because the other one shut the bed, and it'd be rude not to. Grab the Dare Intense Espresso, I emptied my bladder, so hopefully at the next rest stop I can empty my bowels as well. Left the fucking bonnet popped. Whoops. At this point we were just under halfway there. All was well. The AU Falcon was performing perfectly as per usual, and the only problems that we were having was the cameraman recording everything super overexposed. So I apologise for that. My cameraman has since been exterminated. Anyway, as you can see here, at this point there wasn't much going on. We were in the middle of Whoop Whoop, and all we could really do was sit back and watch the clock tick down as we drew closer to the Holy Lands. Alright, according to Waze, we've got less than an hour to go. If you look ahead, it looks like there's a lot of traffic going to Tittybong. There must be like some big event on or something, or, you know, just a weekend, everyone's getting away to their holiday houses or their accommodation. I'm shaking with excitement. I've heard so much about this town. I just really hope it lives up to its name. I'll check in with you guys when we arrive. Here we are in the town of Charlton, the second last town before we would arrive at our destination in Tittybong. And this is where I decided to get our backup GPS system running just in case we ran out of reception further down the track. Alright, we're 53 kilometres out of Tittybong. There's an absolutely cool reception out here. So we might lose the maps at any point, but luckily I thought ahead. I've got the Australia handy map. Hell yeah. So we'll just get this shit open and we'll get on our way. Now at this point, everything had been going absolutely perfectly, despite the fact that we were both driving 20-year-old fully hammered Falcons in close to 40-degree weather. It even looked like we'd be able to do the entire round trip on one tank of fuel. No one had broken down, and most importantly, no one had gotten stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. It was safe to say that we were making excellent progress, and it looked like we would arrive at our destination of Tittybong at just about 12:30 PM, just in time for lunch.
Nathan! Shut the f*** up!
Alright, we're about 15 minutes out from Tittybong. I can't really see any like high-rise buildings or flying cars or anything like the photos showed, but I mean, we're still like what, 24 k's out? You can't see Melbourne from 24 k's out, but yeah, we're getting there. I'm keen. I'll see you when we get there. Now this is the point where shit hit the fan. We were literally 15 minutes away from Tittybong when we decided to pull over on this quiet road to get some drone shots for that opening montage. All went well, besides the camera tweaking and recording everything on a super high exposure, but luckily the drone decided to record everything perfectly. We were so close to our destination and so far absolutely nothing had gone wrong. But just as we were leaving, my boy Nathan wanted to drive the other car the last 15 minutes to the Holy Lands. And as soon as he sat his ass in that driver's seat, he instantly forgot how to do a 3-point turn and drove the car straight off the side of the road into a ditch. Now while it may not look that bad on camera, unlike the AU Falcon, this car did not have an installed diff lock. Now at this point we completely underestimated just how bogged the car actually was. And while we did have tools and a jack, we didn't have anything to pull the car out with. The first thing we tried was this bedsheet that I'd been using as a boot carpet, which obviously didn't work and ripped it straight in half straight away. So next up we tried a pair of jeans, which unfortunately was even less effective. In the end I even had to cut out one of my rear seat belts and use that as a toe strap, but even after snapping second in the AU Falcon, it couldn't get enough grip to pull the BF out of the ditch. And after one more attempt of using the seatbelt as a snatch strap, it snapped straight in half and we had run out of options. Now our only option was to walk down to the end of the street back to the main road and wave people down, when finally we managed to find the first and possibly only considerate Ford Ranger driver that the world has ever seen. And after snapping all of his ratchet straps in half, just like we did with the seatbelt, We once again had to make the long walk back to the main road to wave down another guy, who luckily this time had a much stronger strap, which we tied onto the Ford Ranger, and after an hour and a half of sitting there burning in the sun in 40 degrees, the BF was finally free. Now naturally we managed to film every part of this except for the car going into the ditch and the car getting pulled out. And after this debacle we decided that there would be no more drone shots and that we would head straight to Tittybong, albeit an hour and a half late.
A minute to go, we're almost here.
Now at this point we were just a couple kilometres down the road, but partly due to the fact that we were still all half dead from heat stroke thanks to Nathan's maniacal driving style, and also because we didn't realise just how underwhelming Tittybong actually was, we drove straight past the dog and ended up in Lalbert, where we had to do a U-turn, where we all kept a close eye on Nathan to make sure he didn't get bogged again. Then we made sure to keep our eyes peeled until we finally spotted it.
Don't tell me this is all it is. Oh. Doesn't look anything like the photos. Well, Tittybong, looks like we're finally here. We would have been here about an hour ago if somebody didn't decide to get the car bogged. You maniac. But here we are. Well, we did come this far. We may as well have a look around. I mean, how bad can it really be? These two jugs, maybe that's where the titty part of the name comes from. The Tittybong brick, of course, the Tittybong sign. Also as well, the Tittybong pipe. Oi, look at that. Look, looks like we found one of the Tittybong locals. Apparently Tittybong's got a population of 3 people, so us being here has more than doubled it, but the fly population seems to be more than Melbourne. I don't know if you can see it, but the phone's overheating, so the screen's going all dark, but it is currently 36 degrees in Tittybong. So, well, since it's 36 degrees out here and everyone's boiling, as you can see, I'm sweating like a gypsy with a mortgage. So I heard there's a nice watering hole down the road. Let's go.
That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls.
Alright, looks like the watering hole's just up here on the right, so
Smith and Anderson's Road.
Smith and Anderson's Road, yeah. Not much of a road.
Continue on Smith and Anderson's Road for 1 kilometre.
Gotta be careful on roads like this, you don't want to end up bogged like Nathan.
Right there on the right, look.
That's the Tittybong fox. Look at it go. Oh, I don't know if I can get through here, can I? Fuck it, we ball. What can an AU do? There it is! The Tittybong water. Have a look at this. Looks like someone beat me to it. As you can see, the Tittybong water's got an advanced security system. Bees everywhere, man. Whoa! A shark. Whoa! I'm not swimming in that. What do we do now then?
Tittybong was surprisingly disappointing. It was nowhere near as futuristic as the pictures had me believe, and there was absolutely nothing to do there. After I got bored of throwing sticks into the Tittybong water, we decided to head back to the car, where I had one more trick up my sleeve to see if Tittybong had any redeeming features to cement itself as the greatest city in the entire world.
Luckily I did bring another bit of equipment with me to see what's the go around Tittybong. This is the PERV unit, stands for Performance Electronic Reconnaissance Vehicle. So, pop that bitch out. What can an AU do? Maniac. So that's the Titty Bong water. That's us there. And what else is there around in Tittybong?
And the answer to that question, as you can see from the footage on the PERV unit, was literally f*** all.
Well, as it turns out, Tittybong is pretty much a shithole, but at least I can say I've been. Not a lot of people these days can say that they've been to Tittybong, especially in a manual swapped AU Falcon. I think we've literally seen everything that Tittybong has to offer. I guess it's time to just go back home.
And that is exactly what we did. But little did we know we weren't out of the woods just yet. Tittybong still had one more unwelcome surprise prepared for us weary, overheating and sunburnt travellers, and that of course once again was something to do with getting drone shots.
How the f are we gonna get that out? Oh!
First try.
Yeah. So if you ever need a drone recovered from a tree in the middle of nowhere, all I need is a water bottle and a good attitude and I've got you sorted. The PERV unit lives another day.
And with the PERV unit finally recovered and the aircon getting the work out of a lifetime, it was time to head back to civilization, to the pub. And on that note, it's time to end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment and share, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.